Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. I will be doing my presentation in English because I think both my Ukrainian and my Russian is obviously very, very limited. We'll be spending probably about the next 15, 20 minutes maximum together. And during this time, I will only address, you can say, one or two of what we can call the important challenges as we move and the successful implementation of blockchain in crypto, not just for everyday user, but also for institutional organizations. I think probably many of you have realized that as we move towards more institutional implementation of crypto and blockchain, the way we approach the infrastructure that is in place to protect these digital assets is extremely important. It's thank you. I know there was another gadget somewhere. Okay, thank you. So if we look not very long ago, you can say that every year a substantial percentage of these assets kind of vanish because we don't have control over them. We can call it hacked. But hacked has many terms. Hacked maybe because some malware got into your mobile phone, got into your desktop, or, for example, you ended up forgetting the keys, or, for example, the crypto or digital exchange did not manage their wallets properly, whether it happens to be a centralized or a decentralized exchange. You can say that centralized exchanges have a little bit more control, but decentralized exchanges pretty much have same issues. And the thing that we see is it's very common. Most people realize that in the blockchain world they say the truth is the code. Being in IT for about 35 years, for every 1,000 lines of code there's one bug. For every 10,000 lines of code there is a critical bug. So that really means that if you have millions of lines of code, whether it happens to be smart contract code or digital or centralized exchange code, there's going to be some critical vulnerabilities amongst them. And as a result, if you do not take care of these, somebody else will, and the result is loss of critical funds. Okay. Since a lot of us, we tend to use desktops, anything that is a traditional operating system actually increases the footprint of potential risks. Especially many of you, as we move towards the DeFi world, we use things like Chrome or other browser extensions. And a lot of these extensions have basically code in them that you do not want, so as a result, they end up spying on you. And spying on you really means they can steal potentially your passwords or your private keys, and basically that will result in things like, for example, your MetaMask wallet being empty. We also depend on technologies that were not necessarily designed for cybersecurity. Many of you implement what we call multi-factor authentication. Obviously, there's many ways to implement this multi-factor authentication. Maybe it is done by using dynamic passwords, synchronous or asynchronous. You sometimes have token key generators. But many of these implementations tend to be done using SIM cards, the kind of things that you carry on your mobile phone. They're fairly secure as a technology, but the mobile operator is not as secure as that SIM card. So many times what happens is somebody who gets enough information about you, especially through social media, they'll know your name, they'll know the name of your pets, your friends, your birthdays, and everything else. So they're able to convince the mobile operator that somehow you have lost your SIM card. So we call this usually SIM swap. So that really means the mobile operator is going to issue the hackers your original SIM card. Now you can quickly imagine what is this as an impact to you as a user. it's almost like your life or your wallets vanishing in front of your eyes. You see what is there, but you cannot control it, and may take you 1 or 2 weeks before you actually get it back. And usually it's only a matter of a few hours and your wallets would already be empty. Not just your wallets, the entire control of your online presence as well. That really means that we need to move to technologies that are a little bit more secure and more what I would refer to as industrial grade to do that. So many of you move to better technologies. We tend to call this cold wallets. There's many of them. The name doesn't really matter so much. This is just one example. Many of you may use Trezor, Nano, or others. But these are just other pieces of hardware and software. Instead of code, it's what we call firmware, which is code at a very low level. So this code also has vulnerabilities within them. In some cases, some of these are actually using wireless technology, which introduces even further extra levels of vulnerability, especially if you're using Bluetooth technology. So these wallets, like any others, are susceptible to what we call man-in-the-middle attack. So that really means that, like any other cold wallet that you have, you need to update it regularly so that you are up to date on the latest kind of vulnerabilities that are as a result of the usage of this technology. Many of you keep your funds in exchanges. Exchanges are not wallets, and typically we call wallets into various kind of categories, where we call hot wallets, where we normally do the trading in live, warm wallets that are used for temporary storage within exchanges, but not always very reliable. Then we have cold wallets, like the Nano, as I show you as example, and sometimes we call extremely frozen wallets, which sometimes are using only physical technologies. All of them have got risks associated with them. But definitely the biggest risk that you have to contend with is social engineering. Even cybersecurity companies that understand the biggest risks in security also get hacked. And most of them come from the fact that somebody is impersonating you or somebody from your coworkers, and as a result, gets access to your digital assets. So to make a long story short, is that today we have basically billions of funds that have been lost, and I'm talking only specifically about Bitcoin, not even about the other digital assets as well. To give you an idea, many of them get lost from many cases. You know, one case, a British man kind of threw his old server into the bin, and as a result it ended up in a dump. So today 7,500 Bitcoins is worth a lot of money. I think today is 63,000, give or take, so I think you can figure out how many billions of dollars that is. Let me show you.
It's a password worth hundreds of millions of dollars, a long complex string of random letters, numbers, and symbols guarding the contents of an ultra-secure thumb drive like this one.
I tried to pick a very secure one because I was very concerned about losing those coins.
For nearly a decade, Stefan Thomas has had more than 7,000 Bitcoin locked away in the device. These days, cashing out the stash of digital currency would pay out more than 260 million real dollars. Much, much, much more than it was worth when he first earned them. If Stefan could only remember his password.
Just like lay in bed and come up with a new way to recover it, and then it wouldn't work, and then we'd try another way and it wouldn't work either.
He's already made 8 failed attempts to unlock the drive. Now he only has 2 more tries to get it right, or the device will self-delete, clearing all of its data forever, including the password that will unlock all those millions.
It's not like I barely don't remember it. There's no chance of remembering something that complicated from 10 years ago.
Because Bitcoin isn't represented by physical coins, it can't be held by a bank, meaning the military-grade drive is holding the only key to Stefan's digital fortune. Online, word of his password predicament has inspired some creative solutions, everything from hackers offering to crack the code to hypnosis.
Is there at least maybe just the slightest bit of hope that you have buried somewhere in your head?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, like, that hope makes it more difficult because it's like, you know, it's easier if you can just let it be in the past and forget about it.
Still, Stefan says he's chosen not to dwell on his almost certain loss, a reality he came to terms with years ago.
ever since then, I've never had to worry about any other screw-ups or failures. And if I can move past that mistake, I can move past anything.
Proof that even a Bitcoin has a flip side. And if you're thinking Stefan is handling this awfully well, there's a reason. He has made plenty of other money on cryptocurrency, and he remembered those passwords, so he's doing just fine. By the way, he's far from alone. One company estimates there's more than $140 billion worth of Bitcoin stranded in digital wallets. The company that made the super secure flash drive tells us if Stefan can't figure out his password, well, there's nothing they can really do either. Back to you guys.
Dude, I don't care how...
So I don't know if this has happened to you, but look at it from a different perspective. We live in a very tough world. Everything is okay, and you always have a plan. Many of you have yours. The question is, when are you going to get hit, and what is the plan that you have to recover from that? To give you a little bit of an idea, somewhere between 15 to 30% of all the Bitcoins have been lost. That really means only a small amount is actually in circulation and it's actually liquid. That really, of course, helps the price of the Bitcoin for everybody else, but for those that have actually lost those, that really means they need to have a much more structured approach. And that also means the ones that are moving towards more institutional investment, and now Bitcoin is actually even making into the treasuries of certain countries like El Salvador, very soon Panama, and maybe others in Latin America. So the idea is really, if you're going to adopt this as your future way of managing your money, that means you need to have a proper risk management approach. And in this case, I'm only addressing a small area, which is the area of cold storage. So complexity is obviously your enemy. So the more complex you have to manage that solution, the higher degrees of risk and potential loss there is, because any of those could actually be the result of losing the total amount of those funds. So obviously technologies like cold storage, but not just cold storage with a decentralized approach, multi-signature, and many other elements, but even that is not enough. So even elements of things like insurance is extremely important. That really means somebody that has validated this technology and ensures that is industrial grade. So this means you have to have a technology that is completely decentralized, multi-signature, so that even if you forget your passwords and your recovery keys, the recovery key is able to actually get you the original funds associated with that wallet. In order for you to do that, you obviously need to have a structured process and approach that involves registration, KYC, properly asset and regulatory approach. And obviously, to make this system as completely transparent as possible, we have also the usage of smart contracts. And the advantage here of using smart contracts is that the code is obviously being validated and audited by at least 2 other third parties. As you know, here in Ukraine, you have 2 of the best cybersecurity companies that actually audit smart contracts as well. Obviously, where the technology is developed matters a lot. So here we're using, for example, Swiss technology, and on top of that, we have a stable coin that actually backs the entire infrastructure, and you can actually monitor the entire set of transactions in real time. You can go online and validate this technology and get more details. So this is my short 15-20 minutes with you during the Ukraine Blockchain Week. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'll be available at the back for any queries or any follow-up that you may have. And it's a pleasure to be here, so looking forward. Thank you.